Thank you, Preeti. And good afternoon, everybody. Primarily, this afternoon I'll be focusing, although my area is the wider e-governance area, and we support e-governance projects both in India and in the South Asia region. But in today's presentation, I've been asked to focus mainly on mobile. And because this is the emerging platform now, and we'll just see why and what is happening on this in this sector. If you see this slide, I think it's not coming out very clear, but let me just, I hope you can hear me. What has happened over the last few years, or actually last one decade, is something which is unmatched. It's path-breaking, and mobiles have literally taken over. Prakashji, I was listening to Prakashji's presentation just now. He was saying that under NEDP we are trying to develop citizen service centers using web-enabled, trying to reach in the remote and the interior areas. And it has been a big struggle under NEDP, meeting that 100,000 target, although the overall we have about 6 lakh villages in India. So the ultimate target is to have a citizen service center, one center at least in each village, and one center in each locality, so that if you see the vision of the NEDP program, it says bringing citizen services to the locality of the citizen. So we are trying to, instead of citizens coming to the government, the NEDP is trying to bring the services to the doorsteps of the citizens. So that is the real challenge. But even that 100,000, which was the first target, has been a very big challenge to meet. Going into the remote areas, there is a lot of challenge in terms of getting connectivity once you are you drive out of the state capital. I'm not talking about Delhi. You drive out of state capitals, and within 1 hour you will find the connectivity giving problems. So how do we actually reach citizens, especially in the remote areas, people who are underserved or unserved connectivity? So that is where mobile comes in, and mobile is really, this is coming from a bank report, World Bank report, which was commissioned and was published last year. And this report actually says that this is a technology which is unmatched over the years. Let me just point out where all this started. It started in 1876, when Graham Bell actually invented the telephones. And the next is, if you see, it's almost 100 years. From 1876 to 1878 or 76, 100 years, when we reached the first milestone of 100 million telephone connections. So it took 100 years to reach 100 million. So this line, if you see, the one which is this bottom one, is showing you the progress of fixed line telephones. And this one is actually the first service came the mobile service came in 1902, and by 2010 we had already reached 1 billion mobile connections. And today, 2010-11, globally we will have something like 7 billion mobile connections. Just see the peak of that. So that is the power of mobiles. And then you will ask, why is bank interested in it? Fine, mobile is making it's a new technology, path-breaking. Why is bank interested? Let me come to what bank is. The World Bank is one of the largest sources of development assistance. Its commitments are 44 billion across of IDA and 14.5 billion. 44 of IBRD and 14.5 billion of all targeted at developing countries. Support development work in over 100 developing countries. And the primary focus is the poorest people and the poorest countries. So with that as objective, some of the big clients for the World Bank right now are India, Mexico, Brazil, Turkey, China, all developing countries and developing very fast, as well as Africa and other countries in the region which are really behind in development pace. So over the last 30 years, bank has been able to achieve several milestones in the sense that life expectancy has improved from 55 to 65 years with so many development projects focusing on the health side of it. Number of literate adults all over the world have doubled. Total number of children have risen from 411 to 681 million, and so on. But we have still a very huge challenge. In these over 100 World Bank client countries, you will see more than 3 billion people are still living under $2 a day. And 1.2 billion are less than $1 a day. So poverty is still a very, very big challenge. Nearly 3 million children are dying because we have no vaccination for these children. 113 million people are still not in school, and 1.5 billion do not have clean. So these are clean water to drink. So these are very, very basic and fundamental challenges of development. This is something on the same lines. Why mobile is important is that over this period when mobile has grown at such a pace, what we see is, look at the kind of mobile penetration which has happened. In 2000, if you see, 71% of the mobiles were with developed countries, and only 29% of the mobiles connections were with the developing countries. But in 2010, if you see the breakup of mobile subscriptions and connections, you'll find that the developed country share has come down to 23%. And bulk of the increase in mobile connections have actually happened in the developing countries. So now if you see, more than 80% of the connections are actually in the developing. So this, therefore, if you're focusing on development in developing countries, with 80% reach in your developing world, this is the most important tool to exploit for development now. And that is the reason why banks' focus has moved into mobile as a tool for development. This is again from the 2012 report from the World Bank. The report is called Maximizing Mobile, and how can you maximize the impact as a tool, as a powerful tool for development. If you look at this, again, a very interesting number. If you look at 2001, a number of countries which were using at least one mobile application were only 2 countries. And by 2011, we had 74 countries who were using mobile for using money transfers, making payments on mobiles. So that is the kind of impact which mobile has made. Similarly, if you look at the second one, the second pillar here shows actually how many countries are using mobile for health services. And again, you will see something very interesting, that bulk of the countries which are using mobile for health services, 29 of them are in sub-Saharan Africa. And then we have the Latin America and the Caribbean. And slowly, if you come down, South Asia, unfortunately, is slowly picking up, but it's only very little progress as yet. So we are actually at the threshold of using mobile now for development purposes. How is actually, this is the growth curve which is expected, and how mobile revolution is just beginning. If you see the usage right now, it's roughly 92 Mbps per user. And if you see the areas here, for videos it's very, very low, 3 Mbps. Audio tracks is about 5, and for applications it's about 5 MB. If you see that chart there, by 2016, it's estimated that this the video usage of mobile bandwidth will move from 3 to 15, for audio applications from 5 to 50, and hopefully more and more apps will be used, and from 5 it will reach to 10 Mbps. So the average, it is hoped that it will move to about 1.2 GB per user, and that is, I think, an indication that more and more smartphones will be used, which will allow you to download and use data. Right now, bulk of the usage is voice usage. So what is and how is it that for development purposes mobiles are being used? Kenya has come out to be one of the leaders, and M-Pesa is one of the applications, which is basically a mobile application for financial transactions. And if you see here in that photograph, you can send money, you can withdraw money, you can buy airtime, you can pay bills, and this has become one of the most powerful applications in the country. In India also, in 2011, mobile banking was approved, part of our project, the Bharat project that we mentioned. RBI, DIT, Ministry of IT and Ministry of Finance worked together to allow for these approvals. Now you'll find, I have ICICI Bank, more than 12 banks are now offering mobile-based banking services, but it's still in its infancy. It's picking up slowly. Sorry? Up to? 50. Okay, very good. So this is slowly picking up now, and this is the figure of 2011, I think. So you must be quoting the recent figure. In terms of developing and using mobile applications in the government, Kerala has been taking a lead in India. It has over, again, I think this is a year old because I'm quoting from the World Bank's report, which was 2011 figures, more than 20 applications being used in Kerala. Very interesting applications in West Bank and Gaza. Some of the least developed areas are actually using more and more mobile apps. For the West Bank and Gaza, they are using it for jobs, and most of the jobs in the government are being advertised on the mobile, and you can use the mobile applications to apply for government and even private sector jobs. And you're called for an interview, and very large number of applications being received through mobile apps now. These are some other, you'll ask how mobile apps are making a difference. These are some examples of applications basically focusing mainly on health. If you see, the first one is a text alert system, and this was in South Africa. And if you see here, this was for reminding patients for HIV and AIDS about their upcoming appointments. And if you see, the missed appointments have gone down by almost 87%. So this just sends an application reminding the patient in advance that, for example, tomorrow is your appointment with the doctor, and that helps in terms of getting the patients into the. But in terms of the impact it's making is huge. When the patients start coming in regularly, the impact in terms of the disease, which was spreading very fast in Africa, was very, very high. Similarly, the second one, if you see, was again for HIV, AIDS, and TB helpline, and the thousands of people who they were trying to reach. The impact increased almost by 200%. The third one is for a micro insurance, health insurance system. And there also, if you see, no, sorry, this one for the stockouts. And in a lot of cases, the patients were finding that when they come to these health centers, there is no stock of medicines. And the stockouts came down by 67% to mobile applications. This is another set of, in Kenya, again, the lab reports in the health for diagnosis and treatment of HIV. If you see through the manual processes and through the SMS-based processes, how the delivery of lab results, the number of days have come down from 45 to just 2 days. And the second one is from Red Cross, which is using SMS-based advisory campaigns for people affected by floods. So from normal SMS, you see the kind of the reach to the users have increased by almost 1,000% using SMS-based mobile campaigns. So that is the kind of impact which a mobile-based application and mobile-based service delivery can make. This is another very interesting thing that although we are now looking at mobile as one of the very strong platforms, but you have to be very careful in terms of where you can. It cannot be applied universally in every case. And for each sector, you will have to do a very careful analysis. And if you see here, this is again for the health sector. And these are the type of users. For example, patients here, health supply chain firms, and health management managers. And these are the various platforms which can be used. SMS, calling, voice-based calls, web, internet-based applications, which are the traditional applications, and the remote sensors. Sorry, it's I think too small. But those are, you'll have to do an analysis and look at, for example, the first section is talking about improving the quality of and access of healthcare. And the first line is treatment support, second is patient tracking, the third is supply chain management. And you'll have to actually see which technology works. Is it the web-based technology? Is it SMS? Is it a mobile-based pull or push service? You'll have to carefully analyze and see which technology tool works best, and then work out a strategy in terms of using these different platforms. We have been supporting Government of India in terms of rolling out the mobile government strategy, using mobile for e-governance. And this is the Mobile Seva platform, which has already come. It's still in the testing mode, but it has already come up. It's being hosted by CDAC, which is an arm of Ministry of IT. And if you see, large number of transactions have already started happening on this platform. The first one is giving the government SMS gateway, which are push SMSs which are being used by government departments. And if you see the second one below that, almost 159 both central and state government departments have already started using this gateway for mobile-based government services. These are some of the services which are available. You can send SMS, single or bulk SMSs. You can check credit limits, sub-accounts. A lot of these services are already available on in the testing mode right now. One of the main components under the mGov initiative is creating App Store in the government, and here you see many state governments have already started taking initiatives, and these are freely, Prakash ji was mentioning about sharing of apps. These apps will become freely available to other states who want to use it. So for example, this is a demo version from Maharashtra, demo for new electricity connection, demo version for applying for a residence clearance. If you're building a house, you can take a clearance certificate. You can request for a domicile certificate. You can request for an income certificate. Many of these so-called e-government services are now coming into these app modes now. And they'll be freely downloadable in your mobile phones, and you can request your government wherever you are, and the service will be made available to you. Many of these have come. If you see, Aadhaar has also come up now. One of the latest ones is Aadhaar from, I think, this is for Aadhaar enrollment. You can make an application here. Behind this application is the MSDG, which is the Mobile Services Delivery Gateway. It's a very, very sophisticated system which allows you to have full transactions. Once you have Aadhaar and e-certification, the system will be automatically, this e-Praman module here is able to check and authenticate you automatically on the mobile platform, so that you can do a complete financial or a e-government transaction on the mobile platform without going into the web platform at all. In addition to this, we have also started helping governments in other sectors. This is again a pilot which is World Bank funded pilot in the drinking water and sanitation sector. This is a pilot being done in near Pune. This is a Pimpri Chinchwad Municipal Corporation. They are using a mobile application to get feedback from citizens on both water connections and sanitation. And if you see the way the whole application has been designed is that it has a set of users from the main city areas which have authorized connections, and another set of citizens who are living in the slums, where most of them are shared connections. They are not individual connections. You're trying to, based on the feedback which is coming through mobile-based feedback from citizens, it's actually giving you overall performance of how, if you see, this is a very, very exceptional case where the performance is in the green area, and for both slum and for city, it's almost the same. But in general, if you see in any other municipality, you will find that in the main city, the performance levels will be much higher. In slum areas, they are almost down to the zero or very close to zero, very poor services. So, and then what you can do is you can, once you know that this is you can actually go into each of the areas, because the questions being asked are a set of several questions, 8 or 10, which analyze into what is the overall. This is the overall which is being. This is telling you the access, how much water do you get? For example, 2 hours per day, 24 hours per day, how much water is, drinking water is you are getting in? What is the continuity? Is that adequate or not? What is the quality of water? How are the complaints being handled? And how is bill payment? So each of these is separately analyzed. And it's a very simple application where citizen can say and give some kind of a rating. Oops. So based on these initiatives and the bank has now globally launched something called ODTA, which is Open Development Technology Alliance. in this Open Development Technology Alliance, the main platform which is being used is the mobile platform. And it's looking at citizens' participation, feedback and engagement at all levels in government decision making, starting from the participatory decision making in the budget process itself and the policy making process. The second stage is the feedback when the projects are being implemented, and finally when the services are being delivered, there is a monitoring and process where the citizens can provide information and feedback on how these services are being provided. So initial decision planning, decision making, budgeting process, how these projects are being implemented, for example, how roads are being constructed, how schools, health, hospitals are being, and finally how these services are being. This is open now, and any government agency can request support under these initiatives now. We recently launched this in India now. And finally, we'll need to have a government strategy. And if you see how some of the other countries have moved in, which are leaders, the first one is basically using mobile platform as a supplement. This is the case of Korea, which has got a very well-developed e-governance network, but they're using mobile as a supplement in terms of adding more services. The second way to do it is allow some of these conventional services to reach areas which we were not reaching earlier. And this is the case of Bangladesh Health, where they have existing services they are trying to reach into more remote areas. And the third is something which is completely innovative, and these are examples from Congo and Africa, where they have completely come out with different set of services which can only be done on mobile platform, which was not done anywhere earlier. So either you get, depending on each case, we can decide on a strategy for the government department, for the state or the central government, or we can have a combination of all three. And finally, once we have our strategy ready, we'll have to develop an ecosystem. And you'll see that in this ecosystem which supports the mobile governance, there is on the top the governance in terms of regulators and policy makers. On your right, you have support groups like civil societies, donors and industry associations. And on your left, you have the industry which provides the third-party component, the network operators, the equipment manufacturers. They'll all have to work together, because in the center is the user and the applications which will be required. Finally, just to conclude, you'll see that the world is changing. In 2001, we were struggling with the internet bubble being bursting, and we had a big question mark on whether IT is the right tool and where it will go from here. Facebook was not there, Twitter was yet to be launched. In 2012, we have more than 5 billion mobile users in developing countries. Facebook has more than 800 million users, and Twitter handles more than 1.6 billion searches a day. So that's where we are moving. Bank has done a study, and it has found that you can actually have a 10% increase in high-speed internet, and that leads to a 1.8% growth in your GDP. So your GDP development is now very closely linked with how your internet development takes place. You've already seen what social media is doing in countries across. You've seen in the Middle East, and you've seen in India what happened. The young citizens are now very, very well connected. The governments will have to actually, they have to respond to their demands and their aspirations. They'll have to now become part of the social media. Open government data is gaining momentum. Cloud computing is already coming in and is gaining acceptability. For both these, mobiles will be mobiles and tablets. When I'm saying mobiles, I'm saying smartphones as well as tablets into the mobiles in terms of the tools which will be used. crowdsourcing tools are, bank has already started using, many of these apps are coming from crowdsource. Young students are actually creating many of these apps. Hundreds of students coming in into the bank office, 1,000 students coming in, and within a day, they just sit for 8-10 hours and they create very, very innovative apps which can be used by development sector. And more and more increasing need now to build leadership in this area and institutional capacity. Finally, I think we had already discussed this, that security and privacy of information, once it moves into the mobile platform, will become a very big concern for everybody, both for the government and the citizens. And finally, we feel that this will be a very powerful tool for both development in the development world and in terms of helping reduce poverty. Thank you. This is the report. If you want more information, you can log on to the World Bank's website. It's called Maximizing Mobile, and it's under the initiative called ICT for Development 2012.
Do you have any questions?
बहुत मालूम है, मैं तो सोच रहा था कि फिल्म कहाँ से चला गया।
Sorry.
और दूसरी बैटरी अच्छा बैटरी जब के रसूल
Yeah, I actually asked this question earlier as well. You mentioned open development and open data and students developing apps.
Yeah.
Like all of this requires access to databases, and so I mean, do you know of APIs or like a set of resources where a private citizen could go if he has an idea to develop an app?
Two answers here. One, over the last 2 years, bank has already released most of its data in the public domain, and it's allowing APIs, and there is a negative list. Except that negative list, rest of all World Bank data is being moved slowly into the public domain. We are also actually working with Government of India and many other governments, already something like 80 governments. We are touching base over the last 6 months or so, and we are trying to get them also to release. 20 have already given positive indications, and they will slowly be releasing. Government of India has come up with a policy in March 2012 last year, and they will also be slowly releasing. They already have created opendata.gov.in platform. Sorry? Data.gov.in. Yeah. And although the data sets are still only 115, but slowly I think they will. Now I think there are,
Last week it was here.
Yeah, it's increasing slowly, and there are already 15 departments which have started. So it is moving. Sorry?
This report is for World Bank.
No, this is across the world. Across the world, India is several examples from India, but main examples you'll find from Africa. They are the ones who are leading the game.
Most of the mobile apps are used to run on a specific mobile platform, like Android.
Right.
Is there any way to get it accessible through like BlackBerry and Apple iPhone?
Yes. Begin with, I think you'll find most of them are on Android and open data platform. But the policy says that it has to become platform neutral. So over the years, as the ones which will become more popular will have first priority, and they will move on to multiple platforms.
So World Bank, there are certain projects listed under National E-Governance Plan. Now, what areas, what vertical is World Bank focusing on, or which are being funded by the World Bank?
World Bank is supporting at the program level, and there has been a fund created. You can see the instructions for using that fund are already on the website, DIT's website, and both the way you make application and the way you can utilize that funding is already on the website. And IT Secretary has already, I think last December, yes, held a open workshop and has invited proposals. So both central government and state government agencies can access this.
Hello. Last month I heard that there is some discussion going on between World Bank and Bangladesh and Sri Lanka. So for implementing the government applications and also, is there any guidelines or kind of a deadline? Rather, I would say World Bank has put it on Bangladesh and Sri Lanka to implement these kind of
Not that I know, as because the project has still not been approved. It's still under discussion, and hopefully it should come.
So is there any specific domain that you are suggesting these countries to start with? Like Karnataka has just come up with governments for citizen.
The focus is on citizen services, not on government's own internal applications. Okay. So wherever the citizen is on, the focus is on citizen service delivery, and especially in areas which are related to banks' CAS. Banks' CAS is the country assistance strategy, and it basically focuses on poor, backward states and welfare related, not on things like, for example, services which are mainly to the rich, for example, say high property tax registration, or say vehicle registration, those are not high priority, although there is no restriction in terms of not funding. But there are priority areas, and if the funding is limited, the funding first will be given on priority. So that is the And for any GP, the funding is at the program level, so we are not going at the project level. Government of India decides.